So that sprinkler there, just thinking this out loud because I'm about to put this drip irrigation out here. And then there's one right there by where I planted. And then there's one right there. And then one right there. So it's near the flower beds. And they do twirl. I need to walk over there and see if their twirling reaches the actual planting areas. And that one by the mulch is, looks like it's hitting the grass. Let me walk over there real quick. All right, so they don't go in circular patterns, they go in half moons, but they do, okay, and that one's kind of leaning backwards, but it is hitting, like it and this one here are hitting. Now this one is not twirling, this is stationary, it's locked. No, it's twirling. Okay, all right, they all twirl. And they do have quite a good reach. Okay, so it's just a matter of how long I should run them, I think. Because what I don't want to do is run this for a long time and then have double the amount of water going into the flower beds. So, all right, we might get wet, but I've got to see this for myself. Woo-hoo. Don't hit me, don't hit me. All right, so that one, well, the rock right now is blocking it, but I do think that it could spin. But that one over there, this one over here, definitely is not going towards the flower beds. It does stop shy. Now, it is hitting the butterfly bush. So it is getting the butterfly bush area. Oh, now I gotta see where that one's hitting. Is it hitting that spot? Let's go over there and see. All right. No, it is not. Now if I pull out that flower bed to where I want it, I don't even think it'll hit it then. I think we're good there. Now these do reach that flower bed. So I'm thinking I do not need to run this station nearly as long when I run this one, because it does reach. I mean, you can kind of see that. See that? It reaches the edge. Okay, this is good for me to know so that I don't overwater. But during this hot 95 plus degree every single day temperatures, I don't think I can really overwater. All right, so it is getting into the pots too, so that's good. That's a positive. But it's not a heavy amount of watering. I noticed that a bird has been sitting on my bench and doing his business. So I've had to come out and spray that bench a few times. Okay, well I think I have good coverage here. I don't think I have to move any sprinklers as I expand my flower bed. I think I'm good. Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome back to Garden Mess. Today I plan to put in some drip irrigation because some of my potted plant containers are really starting to suffer. I'm having to come out here every day and water them in the morning, and then once in a while I have to come back out in the afternoon and water them again. But that's just because we have 95 degree plus days every single day, and they're in full day sun. So I think it's about 9 a.m. right now, or close to it. Well, actually, let me look at that real quick. Hold on. No way that my watch is wrong. My watch says it's 6:30. My watch is wrong, y'all. I'm going to have to update it. Anyway, it's like between 8:30 and 9. But these containers, I'm going to show them to you real quick. I'm going to run drip irrigation to them. I've never run it myself. I've always paid for a irrigation company or a plumber to do it. And the other day I dug up and replaced a couple sprinkler heads, and then I fixed one of my drip tube irrigation tubes that I had that had sprung a little leak. I guess maybe we hit it with a shovel or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, I replaced it, and it's held up. So I feel pretty confident now that I can try and tackle this on my own and that I can be successful at it. So I might mess up, but I'm going to try, which is, for me, is not a normal character trait. I don't just jump into stuff and just try it all on my own. But anyway, let me show you this container where I plan to connect the drip irrigation, which faucet, and then how I plan to do it. I'll walk you through it real quick. All right, this is the view from my front porch. And to my left, above that tree, is where the sun sets in the west. So directly behind where I'm facing is where the sun rises in the east. So when the sunlight starts to break the tree tops, the light starts to come in and it hits the very edge, which is where I have a hibiscus because it gets good sunlight there. And now that hosta I had planted when I had big oak trees right here, which was just 2 years ago. And I had them removed, and then of course I built these flower beds when they were removed. Now, this area is moist. You can see that I have irrigation that does hit this area, and if I run it regularly, this area will stay moist and be just fine. I do have some plants that look like they're suffering, and I do believe, like my agastache that I planted, and then this white salvia gray guy over here, they're struggling. Well, actually, this agastache looks better than the one on this side. There's the agastache on this side, but there's the white salvia gray guy. So I don't know what I was trying to figure out. Does one side get more water than the other? Does one side get more sun? This side definitely gets more sunlight. This falls into the shade a lot faster in the afternoon. So I don't know. I'm still watching and watching everything. And I've been planting in this 95-degree weather, which is not the smartest thing to do. I should have had all my stuff already planted, but I just had that garden area I was trying to get together was just taking all my time. But so everything looks like it's suffering, but give it some time and it will perk up. You know, I have some pentas in here that are looking kind of rough, but they'll perk up. I'm pretty confident in that. Anyway, these are the planters that I'm talking about, and they have a salvia inside of them. And this is just a annual salvia, I believe. I do not believe it's perennial. I had some celosia in here, which celosia usually is a very drought tolerant plant, but it did not make it. So it bit the dust, and that's okay because celosia can self-seed everywhere, and I was not looking forward to picking up little baby seedlings out of the ground. But you'll see that I have the super bells, or actually these are calabrocha, I believe. Yeah, these are calabrocha. I have these on the side, and they're kind of hard to keep alive in the hot, hot, hot sun. And then, of course, the vincas. As long as you're watering, they're going to be just fine. And then you have the euphorbia in it. So this is drought tolerant. This is pretty drought tolerant. Normally, salvia is pretty drought tolerant, but every time I come out here in the afternoon, it looks like it's about to like bite the dust. And so I come out and I water it and I get it real good and saturated, and like this morning I haven't watered it and it looks good. Well, last night it was pretty wilty, so it doesn't look great, but it's looking much better. But anyway, so I thought it was more drought tolerant, but it's proving it needs a little bit more water. And usually I think if you didn't have like 90 plus degree weather, I think the 80 plus degree, like 80 to 90 maybe, would be okay. But the 90 plus weather is, I think, what's doing it in. And of course, the soil dries out. So I think there sure is. Now, how in the world? Let me see if I can get down in there. Come on. How did crabgrass get in there? This side looks so much better because, again, I think this gets least, like it gets into the shade a little bit sooner, so it doesn't quite dry out as much. And also, we've had very windy days, so it may not just be the soil, but it also may be the wind just dries out all the leaves, and the leaves can't hold on to the moisture, and so they perspire or transpire all the moisture out of them to conserve their life. So anyway, so I have to come out here and water and replenish them quite often. So I need to run drip irrigation here because even though the sprinklers reach over here, they're not really reaching inside the pot very well. Although, I mean, they are wet, like the leaves. So it's reaching somehow, but I just don't think it's getting into the pot. So that's what I'm going to do. Now let me show you where I'm going to put it. I was there. So now I'm walking back over here to the west side, and you can see that this is the morning light. My hibiscus. Now, just a little side note, this is the same hibiscus. I know. It doesn't look anything like it. I'm perplexed by it. But anyway, I am going to dig it up. I do like that it's trained into a tree form, but I am going to dig it up and relocate it, and that way this one can shine, because this is kind of taking away from it. So that's on my list to do one of these mornings when it's not super hot. But aren't those pretty? I just think those are so gorgeous. And I love that when people drive by, this is the plant that catches their eye. So I'm real excited about that hibiscus. It's kind of sickly too. That's the other thing. That's the other reason why I want to move it. And when I look at the leaves of this one, and then I go and I look at this leaf, I mean, they do look similar. So, it's perplexing why this one is so much taller. I don't know. And then I have another side note. Sorry for my shadow. Then I have this growing back, and I don't remember what this is. It has a red flower. Maybe the word fire was in it. Whoa! Oh, wait! I see something, y'all. This is the first time ever. My agapanthus is about to bloom. It's never bloomed for me before. Oh, that's so exciting, y'all. Ugh, I gotta clean that out. Look at all that stupid grass. Weeds, and more weeds. Anyway, over here on the west side, that's my Japanese Akuba. It's pretty. I don't know how tall I'm supposed to let it get, but I've never really pruned it. I think I should, but I'm going to deal with that last. That's not pressing. But this is where I'm going to hook up the drip tube. I piled all this extra grass stuff over here. It's got a lot of weeds in it. Ooh. Some weeds I can't abide. Some of them have to go. I can't let them take root. Cannot let them take root. And this one too. And I got to come over here now that I've seen this. This will slow me down today too, but I got to do it. But these, first of all, the Bermuda grass has got to go. I got to get my husband to come over here and mow it. But all these little This right here, ooh, ouch. I don't know what that was. Something poked me. But all this is all that Virginia buttonweed. This one, not that, that's crabgrass. This one. This is Virginia buttonweed. And it blooms these little pretty little dainty white flowers, and oh, they look so sweet, right? Not sweet. No, they smother your grass. They create a carpet, and they can expand from, grow underneath. So even though I'm pulling it, the roots are still in the ground, and they will grow from any fragment you leave behind. And I consider plants like that terrible. I think when you're going to buy a plant, not that this is one that you buy, but it is a ground cover. So you got to, it would be considered a ground cover, but I don't think anyone buys it to plant it. I'll come back over here and clean that up. But anyway, all right, I'm getting off track, but let me just keep going with this real quick since I started talking about it. When you go to buy plants, you really do need to look at the growth habits and make sure that you're okay with the way that it's going to grow. Some plants, they grow from underground rhizomes. Some of them grow from, they send out runners. And if you're not prepared for it and you plant it somewhere and then it becomes a maintenance nightmare, right? You having to keep, tending to it. And nobody wants to do that. This grass really hasn't rooted in. That one was. I need to come in and just put this in a bag, because this is all the grass that came from there. But anyway, I've got to come because I don't want the Virginia buttonweed growing and getting in more places. Now, if I didn't have St. Augustine over here, I'd probably take Roundup to it and just kill it. But I want my St. Augustine to be okay. Oh, that's why it's not getting cut. It's not getting cut because it's over here all by itself. Just keep in mind when you get plants, their growth habit, because again, you don't want to plant something and the growth habit be something that is going to cause you more maintenance than the beauty of the plant is worth. The cardboard underneath this is doing a good job smothering out the weeds, but it doesn't stop the grass from encroaching on it, because the grass can definitely grow onto and get their little roots somewhat onto the wood, and as long as the wood is moist, it'll sink into it. So I have to come out here every once in a while and just pull the weeds that are on the very edges where the cardboard, of course, fails, because it does allow light. See, this is Virginia buttonweed right here. And this is more Virginia buttonweed. I mean, it's just everywhere. All right, sorry for all those ramblings. So the faucet is on this side of the house, and I'm going to run the main tube that does not have hole emitters in it, but it's a solid tube, and I'm going to run it behind the boxwoods, because all that gets plenty of moisture from irrigation. So it doesn't need any help. But I'm going to run that drip tubing without emitters in it, and I'm going to run it behind the boxwoods and then run it down in between these plants. Now, again, this looks like it gets plenty of moisture, so I had planned to put emitters to individual plants, but I might still do that, by the way. The solid tubing will go down this, and then what I'll do is I'll just put in little individual emitters into the tubing and run to plants that might need a little bit more water over the others, because I don't want to overwater. So, and I have to water my grass, and I don't want to keep moving my sprinklers. So anyway, the tubing, I'll run an emitter off to get into that pot, and to come into this pot. And these will have smaller emitters because I do believe that these are more drought tolerant type plants. Now that one, it gets some spray from the sprinkler system, but it also gets less sun. So the, what's that, coleus in there? The coleus is getting enough moisture. It really doesn't need a high emitter in there. So it'll probably be like a half-gallon emitter per hour. This one will probably be half to a full gallon. But then this one will probably be a full gallon to 2-gallon emitter. We'll see. I have to do a little bit more research on the size of the emitter, but I have them. I bought them. So I have it all. You know, I just need to make sure that, you know, and if the 2-gallon is too much, then I can always swap it and lower it. But I think 2-gallon is what's going to be needed for this plant to do well. And if I just water in the morning, it should do just fine. And then on this side, I bought enough tubing that I will run from that hose connection over there, and I'll run the tubing along the patio and then come out underneath the boxwoods and then come down here and do the same thing, take an emitter to that space, to that container, and take an emitter to this container. But mostly it's for these containers. So that's what I plan to do. Like that one has zinnias in it that have survived. I guess the zinnias are in this one still, barely. They're peeking out. So that's what I plan to do today. Or if not today, that's in the plan, but you will see that as I put it together. So, and then of course I went to get all that drip tubing, and let me show you what I got.